Hi, my name is Kelsey Hicks, and this is my presentation on perceptions and culture. What is web-based social cognition? Social cognition is the process of perceiving others using cognitive strategies to understand our broader social world. Web-based social cognition is the process of perceiving others in the digital age. The growing use of technology has led to increasing research exploring the manner in which various social psychological phenomena are enacted in the cyber world. Explain how culture relates to our perceptions of others and ourselves. We all see the world through cultural glasses. The lens through which your brain sees the world shapes your reality. If you can change the lens, not only can you change the way your brain perceives behaviors, but you can change the way people relate to different cultures. I loved this quote because we do see the world through our culture, the way that we were raised, and certain ways we move our hands, or the way we greet each other or touch each other. Those can all be perceived one way in one culture and a totally different way in another culture. For example, I spent some time in Thailand when I was in my teens, and one of the things they do in Thailand is when they point to something, they point with their whole hand. And here in America, we point with one finger, like over there. And the reason why that's important is because in Thailand, if I were to point with one finger, that would be considered incredibly rude. And while that might not be my intention, it would just be to point something out or point in a direction. To them, that is so disrespectful, and they would perceive my actions as being disrespectful. So the way that we interact with each other is impacted by that. Discuss whether or not these perceptions vary across cultures. Just like what I was saying before, they definitely do. Perceptions vary across cultures. The same social behavior in one culture setting may have a very different meaning and interpretation if it was to take place in another culture. As people interpret behavior, extract meaning from the interaction, and then act based upon their beliefs about the situation, they are then further reinforcing and reproducing the cultural norms that influence their social cognitions. Compare and contrast some key differences between American culture and your selected culture. I chose to research the Japanese culture because I'm not familiar with it. I am familiar with Thai culture, which is similar to Japanese culture in some aspects, but very different in others. So here in America, we greet each other with a handshake, and Japanese people will bow or nod to each other when greeting. So in America, when we enter someone's home, it's optional whether or not they would like us to remove our shoes. But in Japan, it's mandatory, and that is similar to in Thailand as well. It's mandatory to take off your shoes when entering a home or a business or a temple, anything like that. You have to take off your shoes if you're entering a building. Here in America, drinking and eating on the go is so common. Everyone is grabbing Starbucks, going through drive-thrus, drinking on public transportation in their vehicles while walking down the street. And in Japan, that's considered very rude to do that. Another thing is that punctuality is incredibly important in Japan, and being even a second late is also considered rude. This one kind of surprised me a little bit. I just always thought that Japan was pretty leisurely. I always imagine like cherry blossom trees and mountains and people just kind of taking their time through life in Japan. And I thought that that was very fascinating that they rush. And in fact, it's not uncommon to see people in business suits running from one place to another. Even holding an elevator for another person is considered rude because it's causing everyone in the elevator to be late. So that was surprising. Another thing that was surprising to me was to learn that in Japan, public garbage cans are not something that they have. So whatever you eat or drink or take with you, you will hold on to that trash for the entire day until you reach your hotel or your home to throw it away. And even then, the garbage can system is very different than it is here in America. They have multiple different garbage cans in one area to throw, whether it's paper or plastic or food. They just have different trash cans for each thing. So there's like 4 or 5 different categories for trash instead of just one singular trash can. Has this research changed your perception or previous impression about this particular culture? I didn't know that punctuality was so important in Japan, like I had mentioned earlier. I always thought that it was just really calm and relaxing. I think of like yoga, just things that are very soothing, like meditation and yoga and stuff like that. That's how I always envisioned Japan. So I was fascinated to learn that running from place to place, not holding up trains, not holding up elevators was common there. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you so much.